Hi, welcome to Down Home Money, a simple approach to financial freedom. I'm so excited today. I have a wonderful guest, and he's from Kentucky. Y'all know that's my favorite state. This is Rob Feldman. Rob, welcome. We love having you here, and thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Rob has done some amazing things with Airbnb, and I know I've heard from a lot of y'all talking about Airbnb, so I thought I'd bring you on because people say to me all the time that it takes a lot of money to buy houses. And you, like me, have done it with not that ton of money. And I love that because in Kentucky, we can find houses that are pretty reasonably priced and turn them into a money-making machine. So, Rob, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a realtor also. Got into being a realtor because I wanted to buy and rehab houses mainly.
Yep.
Got into the market at a bad time, unbeknownst to me. Then I became a realtor in July of 2008.
Oh, yeah.
Right about the crash of the market.
Yeah, that was about the time of the crash, yeah.
So, my goal was, I want to buy and rehab houses. If I'm going to, do this, I might as well make a little commission on it. Maybe I'll sell 4 or 5 houses to family members along the way.
And now he's sold a ton of houses. He's a rock star realtor here in northern Kentucky.
So, I didn't really have the money at the beginning. So at the time I talked to my dad and said, hey, you want to go in this with me, kind of be the money man. I'll do the work. We'll split the profit.
Yeah.
And at the time, I think he was on board. And then, everything kind of hit the fan, and he's pretty conservative, kind of backed out of it.
He's kind of not risk tolerant.
Yeah,
right?
He's like, wait a minute, I want to get into this real estate market right now? Probably not.
He was watching the news. We weren't watching the news. We just kept going.
So my father-in-law, I talked to him, and he was willing to get into it with me, and that's kind of how I got my start. So our goal from the beginning was, let's buy some properties while they're cheap. Let's fix them up, rent them out, have some money coming in every month. So the first property we bought, we fixed up, rented it out, had a little bit of money coming in. Then we bought another one with that same thing in mind. When we started working on it, my father-in-law said, well, do you want to just flip this one and make some money? And I said, sure, I'm not opposed to that. So we did our first one, and I still remember exactly what we both made, $15,771 each.
Wow. So what did you pay for the house? So give me.
So we paid $40,000 for the house.
See, you guys, I tell you, there are houses out there. There are these kind of deals, and they're still happening all the time. So I love that.
So I don't remember exactly what we put in it, but we worked on it for about 3 months and sold it.
So did you do a lot? I mean, did you redo kitchens and bathrooms, and what did you redo?
I didn't do as much on the first ones as I did after that. I kind of learned as I went along. Didn't redo the kitchen, but redid the bathroom. I mean, had to redo the whole, plumbing system. It was old pipes that water wouldn't even come through. So we did a lot of cosmetic stuff, more so than the bigger items, which, later I started doing a lot of that too. But ended up selling that one for $93,000, sold pretty quickly. And, to be honest, I almost needed a proof of concept back then too, because, I was new to it and had looked a lot into it and did a lot of research before I started. But, at the same time, I didn't know if it was going to work or not.
Right.
So we got that first one under contract, and we had already signed to buy another one.
Did you have your license at this time too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So and that was, I think, the good thing too is, any deal that came up, I could get in there and
that's the beauty about having a real estate license.
Absolutely.
Is you get to see things immediately when they hit the market.
And there wasn't, I feel like there wasn't as much competition for those houses then because there were so many foreclosures then and not as many rehabbers.
Right.
Now you have everybody and their brother that wants to get into this.
The market's good, but you know what? We're in for a shift, so it's going to be a buying time again soon.
Yeah, I think so. So we moved on to another one, and after we sold and made money on the first one, we decided we're just going to fix this one up and sell it from the start. So we did that. Did pretty good again. I think we made about $18,000 each on the second one.
Wow, you guys, see, I'm telling you, there are side hustles out there. This is a side hustle making $18,000.
And I was still, trying to be a realtor. But again, I was
Yeah.
a young realtor, wasn't extremely busy, but I think I sold 20 houses in my first year,
Yeah.
2009,
Yeah.
as
Which
I was
is
doing
really
this,
good for a first-year realtor.
especially at that time.
Considering the fact 8 out of 10 quit the first year. So
Right.
congratulations
But
on that.
I would prioritize, being a realtor. So
Yeah.
I'd be working on the house. Somebody calls me, I go home, shower, change, go meet them,
Yeah.
try to sell houses and have some money coming in, rather than just,
Yeah.
once every 4 or 5 months I'm going to
Right.
get paid here. So we were successful with the second one. And then my father-in-law decided he was going to take some of that money that he made on those two with me and redo some stuff at his house, which was kind of my opportunity to start doing it on my own.
Yeah.
I had built up some capital at that point. My dad
Yeah.
saw that I did have a
Yeah,
clue
you were
what I was
successful.
doing.
They always like to join you when you're
Yeah,
successful.
it's hard to get them from the start. Once they see
Yeah.
a little money coming in, it's a little.
I have
bit
people all the
different.
time go, hey, I'll buy something with you if you want my help. And I'm like, yeah, I don't need it now. I needed it years ago.
Exactly. So I made a deal with my dad, and I didn't have to pay him as much. Basically, I would get the money from
Yeah.
him. My father-in-law would come down and help me do some things too. My dad just wanted to be hands off, behind
You
the
want to
scenes.
be the money man.
Money man.
I
and,
like a money man.
he's not a banker or a lawyer.
Yeah.
My dad's been a plumber for 45
I love
years.
that.
I was actually a plumber with my dad
Yeah.
after I quit college after 3.5 years and decided to be a plumber.
It's really worked out for you, let me tell you.
It was kind of a strange path, but it's worked out okay. So anyway, he started lending me the money. I would buy it with his money. I would
Yeah.
put my money into it and then sell it, and I would pay him back a
Love that.
percentage of the
Yeah.
profit. So did several of those, and did pretty well with that. And then I guess about 2014, the market's slowly getting
Coming
better. I was selling more houses, and had a few kids by then, had 3 kids by then that I
Yeah.
needed to be around a little bit
Yeah.
more. So kind of got out of the rehabbing for a little while, but I did, in that time I also bought a couple investment properties. The first investment property that I bought on my own, I think I paid $40,000 for, and that's the first one that I turned into an Airbnb.
Is that a 2-bedroom or 3-bedroom?
It's a 3-bed, 2-bath.
For $40,000?
$40,000. I actually bought that one before I really got into this. That backtracking a little bit, that's what actually got me into being a realtor. The process of buying that first
Yep.
investment property, I was like, you know what, I think I could do this.
Yeah, because especially when you watch different real estate agents work, depending on how good the real estate agent is, right? That's exactly how I got my license. I had people helping me buy rental properties, and I was like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Get my license.
It's it was something that kind of opened my eyes to it and made me think, well, maybe I could do this. And now obviously I'm glad that I did.
Yeah.
But so I guess during that time when I was rehabbing, I think I accumulated 4 buy and hold rentals that I fixed up, and some of them were just off market deals. As I was rehabbing, I rehabbed a house in Latonia, the city that I have a lot of my rental properties in.
Right.
And the lady that I bought the rehab house from called and said, hey, I have this other property. I've got tenants in there, and we're just tired of dealing with it. So I've come along a couple deals like that.
Yeah, I love those deals.
So I had like 4, just regular rental properties for a while. And I had a tenant move out. I actually sold him a house, and I was going in there to fix the house up and re-rent it, put it on Facebook. And my aunt, who lives in Williamstown, Kentucky, where the Ark, the Ark encounter is, and
right here in Kentucky.
Never knew what a big deal that was until
deal.
she said, "Hey, you need to turn that property into
It's
an
bringing
Airbnb."
tons of people to Kentucky, northern Kentucky, right?
Yeah, a lot of people, way more than I ever imagined.
Yeah.
But so she says, well, why don't you do an Airbnb? And I said, well, what's Airbnb, And she told me about it, and the first thing I thought of
was... That's
in
Florida. They do those in Florida, right?
Yeah, that's like a VRBO,
yeah.
right? I'm thinking of all these people coming and going, and bed bugs and all these things that I've never dealt
Hotels,
with, and 3 years of doing this now. But long story short, I looked into it. I did a lot of research. I talked to a lot of other people that were doing it because I knew I'd have to put more of an upfront investment into the property to make it nicer, buy all the furniture, all the things you need in an Airbnb. So took the leap of faith, and I didn't go all out on my first one because, again, I think I had to prove the concept to myself.
Exactly.
So I put about $10,000 into it, new siding, new roof, and then all the furniture. So I probably had $15,000
Yeah.
invested in it. And as I saw, the money coming back in, I would take some of the reviews, would really be nice to have a deck or some outdoor space. And, it's an old house with a leaky basement. So, waterproof the basement, added a deck on.
Yeah.
All the things people were
Because
telling
you're
me.
making money, right?
Yeah, I was
so you
making
started
money
doing
and-
it as you're making money.
Exactly. And putting my money back in, which,
Right.
was great and tough at the same time, because I don't want to block off time that I can't have people in there,
Right.
to do these
To do
repairs.
the
So I did a
repairs.
lot of them in the first winter when things are a little bit slower. December, January, February are
So are
pretty
those the slow months on Airbnb? Because
Yeah.
Airbnb, guys, is totally different. So
Yeah. So, it's kind of like real estate. November through February are our 4 slow months.
Yeah.
November's not bad. December is okay. January is pretty dead, and February's pretty slow as
Yeah.
well. So, I did a lot of the work during that time, and I was taking money at that time that I was now making and putting it back into it. So I'm thinking, even if I improve the property with somebody else's money and this thing flops, I'm still okay. I'm using their money.
Yeah.
You
You have a great property in the end.
Yeah, and now I have a really nice property.
Yeah.
Worked my way up to Superhost. Kind of fought
So
through some of
explain
those
that,
issues.
because I don't know, and some people don't
Gotcha.
have a clue about Airbnb. So
Right.
explain Superhost. 'Cause
So-
that's interesting.
Airbnb, basically they send, if you stay in my place, they send you a review afterwards, and you
Okay.
rate everything up to 5 stars.
Okay.
I think to be a Superhost, your average has to be 4.8 stars on everything.
Oh wow. So
And and I've learned, during this venture that there are just some people out there that you're not going to keep happy.
oh, you're
It
kidding
doesn't
me.
matter. It doesn't matter
Really?
what you have.
I can't believe that.
Yeah.
I thought you could make everybody
So,
happy.
so it's tough to get, that average,
get
because
it.
you just
Yeah,
have
that's
some people
hard.
that no matter what,
no
they
matter
complain.
what you do. Yeah.
So, as I've made it nicer, I've worked my way up to Superhost. So basically, if somebody pulls up, Northern Kentucky, Latonia, whatever,
You'll pop up.
I'll pop up a little bit higher up than some of
that's
the people
great.
that aren't Superhost, which obviously helps you get, more people coming
Right.
in. And, I'm getting pretty much all good reviews now that I've done all the things to the house that I
Yeah.
wanted to do. So now I'm moving a little bit closer to the Arc in Grant County. I
Okay.
bought a property in Williamstown and a property in Dry Ridge. And now that I kind of have that proof of concept, I bought foreclosures. I just went in and gutted everything and did it nice from the start.
So so you paid $40 for the house, the first one,
Mhm.
and then you've probably put 15, 20 in it. Probably safe to say.
Probably
So
30.
maybe you've got 60, 70 in it,
Yeah.
right? Tell us, kind of give us an idea on what you can make on an Airbnb. Like, are you charging the night? Are you charging a week? Or how does that work? And when is, in the season, what do you make like on your best months? And what are those months?
Okay. So this one being smaller, Latonia is kind of a small town. It's close to Cincinnati,
Oh, yeah.
about 10 minutes from Cincinnati,
Right.
which is one draw. I'm about 45 minutes from the Arc. But some of those cities in between don't allow Airbnb, which is good for me
Which is
because
good, yeah.
they're coming here.
And you need to, that's a great point. You might share that with them about how they need to check that out before they buy something.
Yeah, absolutely. And people call me all the time now and, want to know, hey, what are you doing? How are you doing it?
Yeah.
I want to buy a property in this city. And the first thing I tell them is
Check it
check
out.
with those cities because,
Yeah.
Sure, you still have a piece of real estate at the end of the day. But if you're going to buy it, put all this money into it, and then go buy furniture and spend all that money, and then you find out,
Find
well, the
out
city
later?
doesn't allow it.
Ah.
In a lot of the cities, at least here in Kentucky, and it's probably different all over the United States, but a lot of the cities in Kentucky, there are people doing Airbnb, and I think some of the cities know about it, but they haven't really made a decision on it yet. I think they're kind of waiting to see how is it going to go.
Short-term rentals, right?
Right. Long term, you can
Long-term,
do
you're
that.
fine.
But short term, a lot of the cities, I think, are waiting to see: are we going to get complaints? Are we going to have issues? Many of the cities around here have voted on it and voted it down. I still don't know why. I've been to several of those meetings, and a couple of them I talked and gave them my 2 cents worth of my experience, and I don't think most of them cared, but I think everyone's first impression, at least from the city standpoint of Airbnb, is people are just coming in to party. And almost 3 years of doing this, I've had 0 calls to the cops,
That's great
0
to know.
complaints from neighbors.
Yeah, that's
Now,
fantastic.
I had 2 very minor incidents of property damage, which is, part of the risk. I mean, I
It is.
may have spent $200
Well, you got
on property
and
damage.
probably on furniture, right?
Yeah, a coffee table
Uh-huh.
and some.
So it's different because you're buying furniture, and furniture. I have Airbnb in Florida, in Panama City, and that's been my only thing is the furniture because
Yeah.
people break furniture.
Right.
They break chairs. They.
Well, and that's the other good thing about the Ark. I mean, you have a lot of families coming in to go there.
Mm-hmm. So that's great.
I think in other areas in bigger cities, maybe you have more of that party crowd coming in.
Well,
guys
Panama
trip,
City
girls
Beach is
trip.
kind of known for the party.
Yeah, that could be one of those areas.
Spring break. Woo!
Yeah, so I feel like I have the ideal tenants coming to stay with
Yeah.
me, at least my ones in Grant County that are
Yeah.
close to the Ark.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, as far as the good months, pretty much March through September.
Okay.
Obviously, the summer months are usually the best. That's when
Okay.
a lot of people are traveling, a lot of families are traveling. My price per night on that one fluctuates. In the winter, I actually drop it down to about 110 a night, and
Which
that's
is really reasonable.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that's good money.
yeah. And
You
if
know,
I
considering
have a
rent might
two-night
be
minimum.
$800 for the whole month,
Right.
and if you get $100 a night,
Right.
I like that.
Yeah, if I can get 7 or 8 nights
Yeah.
during the month. And the other good thing about Airbnb is, you set your rate. Airbnb does not charge me, the host, a fee. It's
Right.
charged to the person that's staying there.
Okay.
They pay a cleaning fee, so you set your cleaning fee.
Was that hard to find somebody to do the cleaning for you?
Well, I got very fortunate. At the beginning, we decided that my wife was going to clean it. It kind of worked out
Yeah.
with the schedule. She's a stay-at-home mom. She
And
gets
she's
kids
gonna
off the
take care of
bus
it.
at 2:00.
She's going to take care of
They
it.
check out at 11. They come at 2. She could get in there right after they left.
That's perfect.
Be done in 2 hours. Get the
See,
kids off the bus.
that's a perfect little job for her.
Yeah.
That's great.
And at first it worked out great, and then I think it was like, all right, this is a lot of cleaning, and we actually went out of town for summer vacation one year,
Uh-huh.
and our next door neighbors had always said, hey, if you guys ever need help or whatever cleaning, let us know.
Awesome.
So they did it, and we came back, and my wife said,
That's
you think
perfect.
they want to clean all the time? So
She's like,
they're
I love that. I love leveraging people.
Absolutely. And it's been the biggest blessing because one, and I tell people this all the time too about Airbnb, if you have neighbors that are all about the idea of Airbnb and new people coming in, it's a blessing because
Yeah.
if you have those neighbors that don't want to see people coming in,
Yeah.
sitting on their porch, staring the people down when they come in,
Yeah,
you're going to
that's
get a
good
lot of bad
point.
reviews and you're going to spend a lot of upfront money
It's
and
a great tip.
maybe not
It's a great
turn
tip.
out.
Pay attention to what you got going on around you.
Absolutely, and in this street, it's a very modest area. Houses, now with the market the way it is, are 60,000 to 150,000.
Yeah.
But you never know who your neighbors are going to be. That's the thing. You could have great neighbors now, and then that changes, and that's a risk that you take, obviously.
Right.
But we've been blessed with our neighbors down there. They see when the people leave. They're almost like a welcoming committee for
That's
us.
fantastic.
The people come in, they say hi to them,
Helps
ask them
with
where
those
they're from.
reviews.
Absolutely. A lot of my reviews specifically say, your neighbors are great. We needed sugar, and we went next door, and they told us if we
wow,
need
that's
anything to
cool.
let us know. So they clean it. They see when the people leave. They come in, and another big thing that I think has helped us, and I did think about this from the start. I don't know why, but I'm just like, well, if I have 2 sets of sheets and towels and all that stuff, you have a set ready when they come in. They strip the beds, take all the wet towels, throw them in the washer,
Make it
start
ready.
cleaning. Washer buzzes, go throw them in a dryer. You can use the second set to have everything ready,
Yeah.
and then fold the next set when it comes out, and you're ready for next time. So that's one
That
more
makes
piece of
total
advice.
sense. Yeah, that
Having
makes sense.
spending that upfront money pays off because it makes the cleaning much easier, and if the cleaning's easier, it's probably a little bit cheaper.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hardest thing for most people. I mean, I work with a lot of investors as a realtor as well. And, we talk about Airbnb and they're like, man, how you doing it? Who do you get to clean it
Yeah.
and manage it? And I manage
Now,
that
they
one.
don't clean it every night. Like if I'm staying at your Airbnb for a week, it's just they clean it the one time when I leave, right?
Correct, yeah.
So it's not like a hotel.
Right.
So that's something you can
Yeah,
know. But
yeah.
you just clean it the one time, and then they're paying for the cleaning fee. What is the cleaning fee run?
So on that one, I think I charge $65.
Mhm. And they collect it on Airbnb?
Yeah, and that's the other great thing about Airbnb is I I think I've met maybe one or two people there in 3 years.
Wow,
You know,
okay.
had something little
Yeah.
come up, and I'd have to
Yeah.
go down there, had a window problem, and so
Yeah.
I think I've met two people in 3 years down there.
That's
They
great.
direct deposit the money straight into my account. Now, obviously, I'm communicating with them over the Airbnb app, which is just like a text.
Right.
And that's one other big thing is communication. One of the things they rate you on is communication, 5 stars. And I don't know that I've ever gotten any less than a 5-star in communication, because it's just like a text. I mean, you and I get text all day, every day,
Yeah,
and we're
and you're a real
responding to
estate
text.
agent, and when you're a real estate agent, you answer your phone.
That's right.
And you answer your text. And so that sets you up for success on this then.
Yeah.
Because you're answering it when they're texting you.
So, as far as that's concerned, there's not, a ton of work that goes into it. If you have good cleaners, reliable cleaners,
Yep.
which is a must. I mean, if somebody shows up and
Yeah.
the house isn't clean, you're in trouble. You're going to be giving them a refund and
Yeah.
begging them to leave, not bash you
Please
on the
don't give me
review.
the 1 star.
Yeah, because that's hard you get a couple of those, that's hard to
It's
make
hard to go
up
back
and
up.
get up to the superhost. But anyway, so communication is big, but it's not super time consuming. I've been on a couple panels, people asking about Airbnb, and they say, well, how much time a month do you spend on this?
Right.
And I say, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes. And what? How is that possible?
So it's a great
But-
side hustle, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, really, for somebody, it would be a great side hustle to get started.
Yeah.
Do your first one. So what do you think the most you made in 1 month on that property?
On that property, I think I made $5,500 one July. And to put that in perspective, when I was renting it out as a regular rental, I made $9,000 for the year. So, I guess the first 2 years that I did it, I averaged about $36,000 a year, about 4 times what I was making.
Okay, wait, whoa.
Yeah.
Y'all know I like money.
It's a
I
real
like
number.
here. This is a real number. So you got about 70,000 in it, give or
Yeah,
take.
yeah,
Yeah.
roughly.
And you you had 2 years where you made 36,000.
Yes.
Okay, add that up. That is 50% return on your money. Now, I don't know anywhere where you can get so in 2 years' time, he got all of his money back from doing this. That is incredible. I don't know any investment. That is incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
Now, obviously, there's stuff
No,
coming
of
out of that, but
course.
still, just the gross
gross revenue, right? I mean, about gross revenue. Of course, we all have taxes and insurance that you pay on the properties. We all have expenses. But where do you make that kind of,
Right.
I mean, that is, woo!
It's a great return. Now, it
It's
did
a
go
great
down
return.
slightly this year, and I think most of that is because there's more of these popping up. There's more
Of course,
competition.
yep.
In bigger cities, I'm sure you have more competition, but I
I'm
think
sure.
people are starting to see this. And, I think made 31.5 in 2019. So 9,000 or 31.5,
I'll take the
31.5.
31.5. Because, when you look at investments and when you think about rental properties, and I mean, I'm always happy if I can get an 8 to 10% return.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can at the bank. I mean, let's just face it. You
Yeah.
can't. Now, right now, I got to tell you, the stock market's doing really good. And y'all know I talk about how there's 3 ways to build passive income: rental property, stock portfolio, and businesses. There's 3 key ways that you can leverage and build passive income. And so stocks are doing really well right now. So we're all kind of woo-woo on stocks, but the market could shift. We're in an election year, things happen, and so things change. But what has been consistent for me is my rental properties.
Yeah.
Consistent no matter what the economy's doing or whatever, because people have to have a place to live.
I totally agree.
So if they start doing less vacationing, and less Airbnb, you still can make it a monthly rental.
Right.
And on a
worst
yearly-
case scenario, bring
Put
it
it
back
back
to a
in.
monthly rental, or I've got a lot of equity in the property now. I've
Right.
made some money on it. I can always sell it, even in a bad market.
Right.
I can sell it at this point and still walk away with a good chunk of
great.
money.
I mean, where you've almost doubled your money. I mean,
Right.
like in 3 years' time.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, what you've
Yeah.
made. That's incredible. So you're buying some more. You're going to keep going.
I'm going to keep going. I've proved the concept to myself,
Yeah.
and moving a little bit closer to the main attraction that people are coming in for, the Ark. So I started one in Williamstown, Kentucky. Put it on Airbnb and a couple other websites. I guess at the beginning of November, and I knew it would be slow at first because November through
Holidays.
February,
Yeah.
the 4 slowest months. My cousin started an Airbnb management company and cleaning company. That one's about
That's good.
40 minutes away from me, so I do have him managing that one. Again, I gutted that property, did everything from the start, with cleaning in mind, with, people coming and going in mind, LVT flooring, I put 2 sets of washers and
Yes.
dryers in, to try to help the cleaners and,
Yeah.
think of all those things from the start. And I'm actually the closest Airbnb to the Ark in Williamstown, which, a lot of people are just
Oh, that's
looking at the
really
map,
cool.
how far away
Really?
are you?
So you're one of the closest ones.
2 minutes away from the Ark. And it's a bigger one. So it's a 5-bedroom, 3-bath.
Oh, wow. So what did you pay for that?
So I paid $75 for it. It put more money into it because, again, it was a complete gut,
5-bedroom.
furniture,
Yep.
everything. I ended up in it for about 100 more, so about
Yeah.
175 total
Yep.
investment. Refinance. Got my money back,
Well, you
basically.
might have got to use it for something else, and that's what we
right.
talk about, because it's about leverage, right?
Right.
So what will it rent for a night?
So, in the good months,
Right.
we're up to about $500 a night. For the 5-bedroom, and
That's exciting.
It's very exciting if we can keep people in there. But so far, and it was kind of trial and error.
Yeah.
I talked to a lot of people down there that were doing it, and there's not many of them down there at that scale. There's 2 other ones down there that are 500 or above per night.
But 5-bedroom, I mean, for a family,
Right,
I mean,
and if you
come
break
in
it down per person,
Yeah, that's
what are you going to stay in a
reasonable.
hotel or a regular, normal size Airbnb, 3-bed, 2-bath? It's not that bad, and it's starting to fill up. I think in the summer months we have $7,000-8,000 worth of bookings each month for a couple of those months.
Yeah.
And again, we just put it on there, so I think
Yeah.
it'll fill up more. The winter has been slower, and my cousin who has the management company kind of had an idea. Hey, in the winter, why don't we also have a 3-bedroom option?
Uh-huh.
So if we're not booking the 5-bedroom, at least we have some money coming in,
Yeah.
which was great. And we booked a 3-bedroom. We're only going to have the 3-bedroom in the 4 winter months or the 4 slow months. And then if we get 2 weeks out and we don't have the 5-bedroom booked, then we'll throw the 3-bedroom out there at a lower price to, try to get people in there. And so far it's
all
been
trial
good.
and error,
but
isn't it?
it's-
And I tell people that all the time, you just have to jump in, right?
Yeah.
I mean, so what would be your advice to give to people who are looking at this? And I mean, what would be some great advice or tips or strategies that you think could help them be successful?
Well, I guess the biggest thing is if you're thinking about it, check with the cities first, because you don't want to make that investment just to find out
That you can't do it.
you can't do it, and you just
Yeah.
not wasted money, but
Yeah.
potentially wasted money.
Potentially. Or not make as much money as you could have
Right,
made.
then you got to turn it into a regular
Yeah.
rental, and you're making a couple $100 a
Yeah.
month, which isn't the end of the world.
Not
It's-
the end of the world.
It's still okay.
Because we're about building a passive income. You got to start
That's
somewhere,
right?
right?
And that's that's probably where you started. That's
It
where I
is.
started,
It
making a
is.
couple $100 a month, paying them down,
Yep.
building equity.
Still have them. I'm
Yeah,
still doing
I still
it.
have some of
Yeah.
them as well. My other piece of advice would be, I think the people that I talk to feel like, I got to have so much money to do this, but you
Mm-hmm.
don't. I mean, you can even, if you've got good credit history and, decent income, you can just take out a traditional loan
Right.
to buy a rental property.
Right.
Or, like you're saying, with the returns on these properties, most people know somebody that has some money
Yep.
that are probably investing in things, and never tell an investor that you guarantee them so much money. That's one piece of advice too. But
Yeah.
if you approach somebody that you know and trust, and they know you, trust
Yep.
you, and they are looking for another investment, find an investor out there
Yep.
that
And there's
give
a lot
them
of
the
people out
pitch.
there.
There's way more people out there
than you
than
realize.
people think.
You just aren't talking to enough people, don't you
Yeah,
agree? I mean,
I
you
agree.
just need to talk to more people, because there are a lot of people out there that that will loan you money, and there's hard money loans. There's all kinds of way to get money.
Yeah.
Money is not the problem.
Yeah, there's many ways, like you said, to get money, and I was very fortunate in the situation that I was in to have my dad and my father-in-law that were both willing to help me get started, and you know what, my mentality is always give it a try. What's the worst that's going to happen? Yes, there's money involved there,
Yes.
but again, you buy an Airbnb property, it doesn't work out great. As long as you buy it right, like they always say, you're making your money when you buy. And
Right.
there's not as many deals out there now. They're harder
Right.
to find. There's more people looking for them, but you can still find a decent deal where just make sure your numbers make sense. Okay, my worst case scenario is that I rent this out for $1,000 a month. Here's what my payment, taxes, insurance is going to be. Just make sure you're coming out ahead. If that's a worst case scenario, You know,
I mean, somebody else is paying for a property for you.
yeah.
I mean, the way I've looked at it, and especially because I've been doing it 30 years, so I look at it that all my properties have been paid for by other people.
Yeah.
And now they're paid for.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's the way you
this
have
is
to
what
look at it.
happens, you know. And my first property, I paid $35,000 for it.
Yeah.
It's now worth $185,000. I've made
It's a good
over
return.
$300,000 in rent. I have made over $300,000 in the last 30 years because I still own it.
Yeah.
And it still rents.
It's worked out all right for
It's
you.
worked out okay. So I would tell you, just jump in and decide what you want. That's always the first thing, is deciding what you want and what is your purpose. And then you set a plan, and then you go for it. And you know, one thing about it is, I would tell you, find you somebody to mentor you. Find someone. Not only watch our videos, because we're going to have plenty of videos sharing ordinary people that are doing extraordinary things through building passive incomes through real estate, but also find somebody that has done it and let them be your mentor. Everybody loves helping people. And so I mentor several people, and I love that. It's one of my favorite things I do. So Rob, thank you so much for coming
Absolutely.
today.
Thanks for having
And I
me.
want you to come back, as this is progressing for you. I'd love for you to come back
Sure.
and share what's going on with the 5-bedroom and how that was working out
Yeah,
for you,
I'd
going
love to.
bigger,
Yeah.
you know, and seeing how that works. So, but thank you so much.
Okay.
So thank you guys for coming back and watching our videos. We appreciate you. And always remember, your money can make a difference. And it's not how much money you make, it's how much money you keep and what you do with it. And buying assets is what you need to do with it, to build you a passive income so that you can work because you want to work, not because you have to work. So thanks, guys. See ya.
See ya.